Well, after weeks and weeks and weeks of you telling me we should record a podcast, here we are on the first episode of the Brian and Gavin Untitled Podcast Project.
The experience.
Can't take experience, man. That's Joe Rogan shit. Do you listen to his at all?
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of good stuff online.
I used to listen to his things all the time when I was working on a golf course because I could. Hey, kitty cat. Gavin's cat's fucking with our XLR cables. I used to listen to his shit like when I was working on the golf course all the time, and I just like have one of my Bluetooth headphones, you know, the ones that go around your neck.
Yeah.
I like put them in, and I would just listen to like 3 or 4 of his like back to back throughout the day. And like I remember like sitting on the golf course, like hearing all this like cool shit he's talking about, being like, man, I wish I could like read some shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be all fucked up and like wanting to like do something with my life, and just like could never do it, you know. And that's like I've done a few of these other podcasts with some of my friends, and it was something I always wanted to do because you're just, you know, talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun as hell. You know, you just like hit somebody up. I mean, it took me 5 minutes to set all this shit up.
Yeah.
And we're like boom boom going. So
yeah, I mean, the whole wave that the podcast is going is pretty awesome. I mean, like, I was thinking about it earlier. I mean, prior to maybe a couple years ago, I mean, it existed, right? But it didn't blow up like it did. I mean, for entertainment, people were like, you know, sitting around watching VHSs, you know what I mean, movies, and you know, they couldn't reach a level of people that you can reach now. Like, I mean, through the internet, you can literally reach millions of people.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you know, it wasn't really possible. I mean, it was. And it's the same thing like communicating, for example, with like, you know, someone who has a sports show, right? Before, you know, people would just listen to it and you couldn't respond to it. Now we got Twitter, we got Facebook, we got all this stuff.
Right.
You can actually communicate with the people that you're seeing.
It's like a direct connection, really.
Yeah, there was this guy, his name's Daniel Alley. I was actually watching one of his TED Talks online, and I have him on LinkedIn now. And
Really?
I actually, yes, you know, I messaged him, and he had this one concept that was really awesome that kind of like, you know, motivated me a couple months ago. It was called Big, Think Big. It's like, you know, B, books, I, individuals, G, goals. And it talks about, you know, how, you know, thinking big through these concepts, you know, helps people transform. You know, when you're reading a book, if you read just, you know, 10 minutes of a book a day, right?
Right.
You know, at the end of the year, you've already read 12 books. The average person only reads 1 book a year. So if you're reading 10 minutes of a book a day,
Right.
you know, you're doing almost 12 times the normal person.
Do you write at all?
I really don't. You know, I have like a journal. And
Right.
It's weird because, you know, if something comes in my head, like for example, a business idea or, you know, just anything that just creative or anything, I kind of just write down, and then I maybe won't touch it for a couple months, or then I might touch it for like 3 weeks in a row, you know?
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So, you know, back to what I was saying, those concepts, I reached out to him on LinkedIn, and he hit me up. And
Really?
We were talking. Yeah, his dude's got like 6 million views on his YouTube video, and I'm talking to him, and you know, it's just that whole concept is cool. Being able to see something and just instantly interact. You know what I mean? And that's what the whole wave of the podcast is so interesting, because it's like, dude, you know, you can arise out of the dust just and instantly you know, touch millions of people.
Right. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I actually I reached out to somebody on a podcast, and I asked him for like a couple little like tips or something, and the first thing I messaged him about was like just saying like I like his podcast or whatever, and then like I asked him for some info, and I didn't get anything back. But I think part of that was because I didn't have anything to like show him. You know what I mean? And that's why I've been trying to like record some stuff, you know, slowly but surely, and then like eventually, hopefully, you know, once I have some content to show him, be like, yo, this is what I'm doing. Can you listen to it and let me know what you think? You know, That's nuts though. So what was it like? What was your first message like to the guy?
So I just, when you're on LinkedIn and you add someone, it says like send a note with it.
Right.
And I just simply put like, I like your concept of thinking big. That was it. He shot me over a message, and then we just started communicating. And it was interesting. We spoke for a little bit. But as with anything else, like when people, they're like, oh, I can't wait to meet Michael Jordan, right? And then you meet him and he's a complete dick, right?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't necessarily that, but it's like, when you're talking to people online, they have an agenda, right?
Yeah,
he's
of course.
The video was talking about becoming a millionaire, right?
Right.
And so I reach out to him, we're talking, we're talking for, 45 minutes, and then, you could feel something was coming. He was like, yeah, like, I'm doing this mentoring program.
Right.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
okay.
and then he throws out some ideas of, money to pay him to mentor me. And, by all means, like...
Guy's got to hustle.
He's got to hustle, right?
Yeah,
and, obviously he didn't get to where he was without, that kind of hustle. Mm-hmm. But, I guess me being naive, I'm like, oh, this dude just genuinely, wants to help me out. But, it was nice to talk to him. Just, the small amount of time that we had discussed some things like my future and some goals. It was just cool to... talk to him after simply seeing a video, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you put a little workout and you get something from it. That's tight, dude. I like the one thing I really like about these podcasts and like doing shit like this. Like me and you have known each other for what, probably 6 months or so now, and what this does is I feel like it enables us to have conversations we wouldn't normally have had.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just like passing by each other or whatever. We wouldn't have like sat down and like talked about this kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, it's like super old school. I think about like when my grandparents used to have people over their house to like listen to records and shit, and they'd sit around their like fireplace and drink and like talk to each other about stuff. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You're the same age as me, right? What are you, 25?
Yeah.
And like people our age don't just like sit down and like bullshit with their friends like they used to. And I think there's some sort of like a type of human connection that got lost somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And I think like doing this kind of stuff is sort of like that, like kind of bringing it back to the old days when people like really got to know each other.
I totally agree, man. It's like, and there's factors that go into that, obviously, like social media and everything. Like I've been off social media probably 2 years. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn because I have to for my job.
Right.
But, I fell off Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that about 2 years ago. And
you fuck with Snapchat still?
Nah, no
Really?
Snapchat. I don't have any social media, dude. And it's funny because, when you're in social media, it's like, oh, I wonder what it's like. And then I kind of just experienced it, and then I just never, went back,
Right.
And it's like, it's funny because, you think you're missing out on a lot. But, like, it's interesting, like you were talking about genuine conversations. Like, I can see how things have changed since...
Hey, kitty.
Since I've, got rid of my social media. And I love it, man, because you see people, right? If you were on social media, they would have seen you on your timeline maybe a week ago if you posted something.
Right.
I'll see people I haven't seen in a couple years, and it's totally different.
Like you got no idea what's going on with them.
Right, you don't know what's going on, and they're excited to genuinely see you because you're like, where you been? Like, where you been at? And it's cool because that genuine factor really comes into play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's some cool shit, man.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about deleting my Facebook, and like for some reason I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do it.
I mean, it has its benefits. Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, it might be nice to have see one of my friends' kids or stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. It's
the problem I feel like I'm coming across now is like since everything in my life is going real well, like I have a really hard time keeping in touch with all the people I'd like to keep in touch with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's just not enough time in the day for me to
isn't.
make phone calls. And like people are like, in different places in different states. And I mean, of course you're not going to see them all that much, but even the people I know down here, it's like I can't see everyone that I want to see in like one day. Like there's just not enough time.
It really isn't.
And like I've been putting off doing these podcasts because like I just don't have enough time. And like the truth is I got to like set my priorities.
You got to make the money, dude. I mean, that's what we got to do. I mean, there's really not, what else are you going to do? You can't sit around. I mean, this is the end goal, right? This is what we want to do, right? With this. But you got to get to that point.
Right.
And it takes time. I mean, It's just the way it is. But at the same time, you know, you could do it on a whim. It really just, that's kind of what I was talking to you about. You know, just striving, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you you mean like, so this was the kind of, so I'm taking some classes over at Stockton right now on like communications and shit.
Yeah, it was my major.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Stockton?
I was at Rowan.
Oh, okay.
I had a minor in philosophy. And
did you graduate?
Nah, I got one class left, dude. How crazy is that, right? One class.
Why don't you go take it? Can you take it online or something?
My job, you know, I work a lot, but I'm planning on taking a night class next semester. I mean, that's the goal. I got a lot of goals, but as you say,
you got to get that done, bro.
Yeah, it is important.
Are you paying loans back right now for it?
Yeah, I got loans, man. I got, you know, debt exists.
It sucks.
It does suck, but you know, it's a fact of life, man.
Yeah.
But we're grinding, you know.
So yeah, like in my class, we went on like a trip to the Fox studio in Philly the other day, and we saw like some morning show. The guy was really good. This dude Q. I think he's from Pleasantville.
Yeah.
But it was just like a morning, like, I don't know, for like moms who were home, like, you know, I don't know, getting their kids to school.
Right.
Like it's like on the 10 o'clock hour or whatever. And all the people from, you know, the guy we met who was talent on the air, to like the producer of the show, the people in the back, they were just like, you need to produce content. Like if you want to make it in any sort of communications field, you just have to have content. It doesn't matter if the content like really isn't even that good. Like you can't get anywhere if you don't have anything to show. And like I was going kind of pretty strong with this and doing episodes with my boy John like once a week. We were going for a while, but then I started taking classes and it's like, fuck, off time. And then I got a girlfriend and it's like,
comes down to time, man.
Dude, really, and it really what it is just piss poor time management.
Yeah.
That's, my life is just a fucking example of piss poor time management. Like,
you're moving. I
know, dude, and it's like, I just don't allot the right amount of time for things that I want to do. But I notice like when I do it all up right and like I write shit down, that everything goes much more smoothly. So I'd really like to get back and like start recording this shit like all the time. You know?
It's possible, bro.
Yeah. So what else? What were we talking about the other day? You sent me some cool shit.
Yeah, dude. You know what's funny is when I sent you that, I was on my way home from a sales call, just closed the deal. And you know, you get like these sudden bursts of like motivation, right? You get these sudden bursts of like, you know, I'm about to conquer,
right?
That type of stuff. And you know, obviously through various means that we met each other, you know.
Right.
You know, that stuff becomes possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it more recently hit me now more than ever. You know, kind of people. You know, I should say you know, got stuck in a standstill for a period of time.
Right.
And, you know, you don't get to realize you know, the opportunities available in front of your face, you know, like things that you can actually do that, you know, I mean, in reality, we're the only ones holding ourselves back.
100%.
Like you were saying, you know, the time management thing, like in reality, like we can make that happen. Mm-hmm. In reality, like anything, you know, what I was talking about before, I got some big stuff that I'm in the works with. You know, it just comes down to just do it, like, you know what I mean? And so, you know, when I was thinking of that stuff, when I sent you that, you know, it was heavy on my mind. Is like, you know, there's so many deep concepts of stuff like that gets to people to where they need to be. And don't get me wrong, dude, I'm hustling every day, trying to get to that point. But like just the vision, right? You know, I'm driving my Ford Ranger, but I got a vision like I'm driving a Bentley. I'm sitting up here on this
that
third
truck
floor.
too.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here in this third floor apartment looking out the window, but really I'm visioning.
Right. I'm
looking at a mansion. Mm-hmm. Like, how else are we gonna get there if we don't see it?
Yeah, and if you don't like, and I think like I know the shit that like held me up was like it all seemed too daunting. You know what I mean? To have to like, oh, I gotta go to school, then I gotta get a job, then I gotta work there for 10 years, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that.
You know what it comes down to, dude? It's funny. I was reading this book earlier. It said, if you're living in the past, you're depressed. If you're living in the future, you're anxious.
Yeah.
But when you're living in the present, you're at peace.
Some good shit.
Right.
Some solid shit.
So it's like, you know, if we're gonna think backwards, you're just gonna get upset. If you're gonna think forward, you're gonna get anxious. So I mean, what can I do right now? Like, what can I do to be successful right now, like doing the next right thing, everything that we talk about.
Right.
I mean, it's so true, bro.
Yeah, and dude, like that. I think that realization has started to hit me like more and more and more like recently, and I think after I started living like that is when everything really started to like take a better turn. So like take example, I'll just equate it to the situation with the girl I'm seeing right now, right? Before, man, when I would meet a girl, I'd be like, oh well, do I text her right now, or like do I like wait 2 days? Like, it's really gonna make that big of a fucking difference. You know what I'm saying? I used to stress out about that shit all the time.
Right.
I'd be like, oh well, it's like too soon. And then I started like asking people like, yo, bro, what would you do? Like, if you just like went out with this girl and like you had a really good time, like, would you hit her up and tell her that? And like some people be like, nah, dude, like don't hit her up for like 3 days. And other people were like, wait until like 9 tomorrow and then do it. So like I'm freaking out about this, right? I'm like stressing out. And in the time when I was like talking to people about it, she hits me up and was like, hey, I had a great time. I'm like, all right, fucking bet. You know what I mean? Like, she did the work for me. I didn't even have to. And then I was like, all right, well, I want to go out with her again. So I like called her the next day and was like, yo, let's go out again. You know what I mean? And then I just like
took advantage, man. You just got to take it. If you want something, go get it.
And what I was running on was a lot of like instinct feeling. You know what I mean? And I've noticed that my instincts have become like a lot better recently. And like just kind of going with like what I know or I feel is right, and like it starts to work. That's some weird shit too, because I feel like for a while in the past I was like running off of like the opposite of my instinct. Like my instinct was telling me to do this, and I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm doing this.
Right.
You know. And it's just like a fucking awesome place to be in. I don't think a lot of people our age really think like that, or really a lot of people in general.
No, in general, dude,
they don't, and I think that's why people think the world's like a miserable place, man. It's because a lot of people are fucking stressed out over the shit that happened in the past and like super anxious about shit in the future,
Exactly, man.
And they're not taking advantage of the opportunities right in front of them.
It's so true because, and I saw this in my own life, right? Because, in the past, right, it was totally different. My thought process was different. And I was trying to figure out the world. Like I told you, I study philosophy, right? I was trying to.
That's some bad shit to do, bro.
Bro, it is. But at the same time,
you get caught going down a rabbit hole like that, you're fucked.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm very analytical. I want to put everything to, I want to quantify everything. I want everything to be put in a box. I want to be able to understand every little thing. But that's not the way things work. And through the process of learning about all that stuff, it was right in front of my face. Like that's the whole concept behind all these facets of religion and philosophy is like, it's all about the present, and it's all about, just chasing it and doing it, right? Because obviously we could sit here, and I could sit here and not go to work for the next week and think about what happened in the past. I could think about, what I want to do in the future, but if I'm not doing it, dude, it's just words and it's thoughts going into the universe that aren't being, manifested. And
you're gonna be in the same place you were at the beginning of the week,
right? So when I changed my lifestyle and I started restructuring it towards action, that's when things started taking off, like you had said, and structure really helped me, right? Because I'll get up in the morning, I'll wake up, 6:30, make myself a protein shake, get my clothes ready for work, hop in the shower, do everything I need to do, take care of my cats, go to work, handle my business at work. I'll come home, I'll go to the gym, have a nice hearty meal throughout, a couple meals throughout the day, and, stay in the loop. And, that structure is what kind of pushes me forward, man.
Yeah, I have a very similar structure, and like I don't always stick to it. But what I've tried to do recently is write down what I need to do the next day before I go to bed. Dude, it's great. And when I don't do that, I don't accomplish shit.
Yeah.
If I don't write it down the night before, and like I have this like running list of notebooks, and I got like 3 or 4 of them that like I bounce back in between, and like when I write down these notebooks, they're like, all right, so I got on one side I got phone calls I need to make, then I got like shit I need to do, and I kind of like organize them like top of the list is something that has to get done, and then bottom of the list like doesn't. And then if I don't get the stuff at the bottom, I just carry it over into the next day, and then like I eventually get through it. Like today I had on my list was call my boy Jordan to get the mixer. I had to talk to my dad. I had to talk to somebody else. I had to look at this apartment, and then I had to like call a few other people. And like I did all that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got
as
it all
long as
done.
you write it down, you'll get it done.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with me. I have an Outlook calendar at work, right? And I have,
like the program Outlook.
Yeah, on the mail program. And there's a calendar within that. And for my job, I have so many things to do that I need to write it down, literally. Because if I don't, like, there's no way I'll get it done. So I have to literally.
Or you won't fucking remember it. I know I don't.
Yeah, and by doing so, like you said, whatever you don't finish, I can just drag over to the next day, and just structure, man. Structure. I've always ran the other direction from structure because I looked at it like my enemy because I want to live on the edge. I want to be outside the box while still thinking about the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by living, a structured life, it allows you to accomplish a lot more.
Right.
And
it's simple too.
It really is, dude.
It's so simple. It's so fucking simple.
It's just doing it,
Yeah, and it's not hard, dude. What is it like? Before I go to bed, it takes me like 10 minutes. Not even.
Yeah.
Then I watch a movie until I fall asleep.
Exactly.
It's so simple.
Just take care of it.
And then
like,
I think the one challenge I have now is keeping it up day in and day out and day in and day out. And I don't know if it's because I only started doing it recently and it's just going to take some time for it to become like really routine, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, right? I mean, staying focused. Because with me, dude, I can get lost in a minute real quick. But but that goal thing I was talking about, I got the vision of what I want it to be. So how am I gonna get there? Just by you said writing everything down.
Right.
And if you continually do that, just in this small period of time, I changed my lifestyle. I've been able to accomplish so much.
Right.
That it almost blows my mind to the point where, like, anything seems possible to me. And how I gauge that is based upon, what negativity I let into my life.
Right.
So, before I used to be, I would immerse into the negativity, right? And now I kind of, I look the other way and I chase the positive because that's the only thing that allows me to get to where I'm going. Because if I sit there, like we were saying, if I sat here and thought about all the negative shit, I'm not gonna get anywhere, dude.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's 100% accurate. I think one of the things that I have started to come to terms with a little bit is like realizing that I'm not gonna make fucking $100,000 this year,
Right.
and that I need to kind of like make a bunch of sacrifices in order to get something in return. I don't really even like to use the term sacrifice because when you use sacrifice, it makes me think that like you're doing it without getting anything in return, right? And so it's not really sacrifice if it's going to pay out. It's really the cost of doing business. And I've tried to express that to some other people that I know. That like, well, you're really like, what are you sacrificing? Because you're getting a fucking benefit from it.
You're investing your time.
It's really more of an investment than a sacrifice. So like I'm going through some shit right now with my job where, I'd like to be making more money than I am. However, like not even 3 years down the road, probably within the next 6 months to a year, I'm going to be able to make a lot more money by taking less money now. You know what I'm saying? And like I struggle with, staying doing the work that I'm doing just because of what it pays. But there's like a lot of other benefits to the job, man. It's a sweet fucking gig. I have a great time. I work with a lot of like really good people. I go to the beach a couple times a week in the summertime and get paid for it,
That's sick.
But, I always kick around the idea of going back and doing like landscaping. Because I can go back and work at a landscaping company or like a golf course and make, $50,000 or $60,000 next year. I mean, if I go back and like apply chemicals at a place, you can make $60,000 or $70,000 if you're in sales too.
Right.
But it's like I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do that. It's like it's not gonna. And I'll be in the same spot I was when I worked on the golf course like 10 years ago, what I was talking about before, where I was just sitting there doing this bullshit manual labor, like thinking about all the stuff that I wanted to do and not being able to take action into it.
It's a grind.
Yeah. And like, cause I would be burned the fuck out. I'm working 10 or 12 hour days in the summertime. When I come home, all I'm doing is sleeping. I'm eating and going to sleep, and this job I have now can be a little bit more mentally exhausting, but the physical part isn't. So like I got time to do it. And I've had to I've gotten really good at fucking balancing my shit out. You know what I mean? Like I spend X amount of hours with my family a week, X amount of hours with a girl, X amount of hours at work, X amount of hours of like me time. And like this is what I would classify this as me time. You know what I'm saying? Like doing something that I want to do.
Right.
You know.
You gotta definitely. I mean, like you said, investing time is ultimately gonna get you to where you want to be. I mean, thus far, I can't complain about time investment. I never used to invest my time. It was all about, what can I do for the past or the future, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, depression, anxiety based upon the future or the past. But, I mean, talking about the whole philosophy thing, like, that was what I had spoke about was a dude named Lao Tzu.
Okay.
Yeah, he, you heard of The Art of War, Sun Tzu. That was inspired by this book, Tao Te Ching, that I read, and that inspired a lot of Eastern philosophy like Confucius and all that.
Right.
And if you take a look at like a society on the Eastern Hemisphere, it's so different from over here. I mean, there's drawbacks in itself. I mean, obviously they live in a communist society. It's improving. Over here we live capitalistically, and our whole society is based around money. And, that's just the way it is, and that's what we have to work with. But what I'm saying in regards to the Eastern philosophy is it kind of developed how if you go over there, and what I've heard is how their whole lifestyle is more present, Right. And that's maybe why they're not so capitalistically advanced, because they don't think about what do I got to do tomorrow to make a dollar. They're thinking about what can I do right now to eat? What can I do right now for my wellness? You know what I mean?
Right. It's almost like the privileges we have, like, can kind of be negative.
Right. It's a drawback, but at the same time, you give and you get. I mean, like, we got, we're sitting here talking into a mixer. I got YouTube. I got electricity. I got food right up the street that I can call on my cell phone to come directly to me, and I'll swipe with a card.
Right.
It's like, there's your give and you get. I mean, you go over there, you got to make, grow your own food, and I'm talking about, like, the middle of Burma or Sri Lanka or something. My buddy, I was in the international club in college, and this dude was straight out of Burma. His name was Lonnie. And, when he came to America, totally shifted his perception. He didn't even know how to handle it, man. Because it was like he went from living very slow to coming here, and it's like almost hitting the gas to the...
And we live in Jersey too, bro.
Yeah.
It doesn't go much faster than here,
Exactly.
besides like maybe New York.
Exactly.
Or like
man.
a bigger city.
So like he would explain to me like, how did you live like this? Like how would you spend your whole life? And to us, we're indoctrinated into this, belief system and kind of, this lifestyle, and we don't realize the impact that it has on our psyche.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, dude was super chill. It was hard to find something that could bother him. With us, and I mean, for me personally, I can go off on on the blink of an eye.
Yeah, dude, if I get a bad chicken parm sandwich at a pizza shop around here, I'm like pissed for 2 days.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this is fucking Atlantic City. You can't make a good chicken parm? Like, what the fuck? Spend $9 on it. I'll stew over it for like 2 days.
What do they say? First world problems, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true, dude, because we have no idea how good we have it, and that kind of lends into me being kind of grateful and thankful at some point in my day, because you gotta realize, like, we ain't got it that bad. We ain't got it bad at all.
No,
we
not
got
at
it
all.
the best in the world, and we have all the tools. We have the best tools in the world, and if we start thinking like, what can I do with these tools? Buddy,
the possibilities are endless.
it really is.
I was on the phone with my girl last night, and she was telling me that they did like some switch. All right, so I think they were like, and I might be getting this completely wrong, but here's the essence of it. So there were two professors, right? A professor from an American school, or maybe it was a British school, and then a professor from like a school in China or some shit, right? So they had them swap for like a semester or something, and the dude who came over from China when he was living in the U.S. was like appalled that like he went out to dinner someplace. Like they're like, well, what do you want to drink? He's like, well, like I don't know, what are you serving? You know what I mean? And then it was like, well, what do you want to eat? Like, well, I don't know, like whatever food you're cooking, you know? And it's like here, like we get to go out to eat, or like you go over someone's house, they're like,
Demands.
oh, yeah, like do you want water? You want a Coke? You want a glass of wine? You want a beer? You want a mixed drink? You want juice?
Choices.
Right. And then like over there, they don't have like all these choices. Like you go over to eat somewhere and it's like, all right, like I'm making this tonight and like this is what you're having to drink. And they just like give it to you.
Right.
And they're like blown away. And like same thing, you know, conversely with the guy who came from the West over to the East was like, yo, I didn't have a fucking choice in anything I got. Like they just served it to you, you know? And it's like something really weird to think about, like, you know, because, and when you're talking about your buddy from Burma, it kind of reminded me of that. Like he came over here and he's like, he's got all these fucking options. You don't know what to do with it. And the thing is with like people like in our age bracket and really a little younger than us, have grown up with like all these different sort of choices and options that like, and I even noticed it with myself, right? And I'll make this comparison. Like I was struggling to decide what I wanted to go back to school for because there were so many different things.
So many options.
And then what that led me to do was nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Still.
Yeah, I was like contemplating for so long that it turned into procrastination. And like I was trying to like pick what I wanted to do, couldn't make a choice, and then what that led to was me doing absolutely fucking nothing.
It's almost like the analogy of a dude sitting on the train tracks, the train's coming, and it's coming fast, right? But, you know, he's got to make a decision, and by the time he has to make a decision real quick, because if he doesn't, he gets hit by the train.
Right.
So it's like, that's how it is in our society, man. You gotta take advantage of what's in front of you right now, or you're gonna get left behind.
Right.
And it's a dog eat dog world, but you know, what can we do? We can sit back and say like, shit, this sucks. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, this kind of lifestyle sucks. But like, or you can be like, all right, this is what we got to do, and we're gonna do it because what else are we gonna do? I mean, you know, the ideal situation, you know, we could move to Burma and sit on a beach and chill, right? But I'm not going to be able to call Gino's Pizza to bring me
and get a slice.
A slice or some tacos. I'm not going to be able to walk up the street and, you know, talk to some people about, you know, some news that's going on because, you know, we're out of the world, we're out of the loop. Mm-hmm. So, you know, this is a give and the take, but it's awesome and really cool to think about the dichotomy and dynamic in this world. Like we think, you know, there's still people, you know, living in tribes and we're over here like advanced monkeys talking about space and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like it blows my mind, dude. We're honestly animals.
Right.
And we got into this point where we're so advanced that we forget where we come from, right?
Yep.
I read this book, it's called Ishmael. By Daniel Quinn, and it talks about how our society has moved progressively downward in the past 10,000 years, because prior to 10,000 years ago, we were a nomad society and we didn't develop agriculture yet.
Right.
In the past 10,000 years, we've done more damage to the planet when we took control, in quotes, than ever in history.
Right, started fucking around with nature.
Right, so dude, agriculture is looked upon as the greatest thing in the world, but really is it? Because since we have developed agriculture, I mean, we took fate into our own hands and decided to be God.
Right.
But, you know, there's other species on this planet. There's you know, tides. There's things that really we have an effect on that we have no idea, dude. I'm scared for our grandkids, bro.
Yeah.
You drive down Winchester Avenue and you see those floods.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had like 6 inches of water in my car at one point over the summer.
What's gonna happen in 100 years? Do you think this island will be even afloat, bro?
Maybe not, but like, you know, I always kind of play devil's advocate to like shit like that. It's like, well, you know, what did it look like 20,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Was this island that we're on right now 300 miles inland? It wasn't even not a coastal property.
Yeah.
And then like when I talk about that kind of shit, it's like, I think it's a little, we're definitely not doing any good to the planet, right? Like we're definitely harming it. But I almost think it's a little egotistical to think that we can have as much of an effect as everyone says we can.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I always go back to the dinosaurs, bro. There were these big fucking lizard bird things that were on this planet for like millions of years.
Wiped out like that.
And they're all gone. Like,
I mean, honestly, we're a virus, dude.
See that thing.
We're a virus to this organism, which is Earth. And whether we like it or not, we're not a god. So.
That's good, man. What flavor is this?
Cookies and milk. Yeah.
It's just nice.
I got the strawberry and milk over there if you want to try that.
There you go. It's just good.
Yeah, so we can go down the wormhole with this, but basically, you know what I mean? But basically,
it's cool shit to think about, man.
It really is, dude. And it can take you to some very innovative thoughts. I mean, I could go on for days about this stuff.
Right? Yeah. But that's what's cool about doing this kind of shit, man, is we can talk about it like fucking forever. You know? And it's like, and like that's what I was saying about before. Like, we probably wouldn't have this conversation had we not sat down and did some shit like this, you know? My boy John, who I have done a few episodes with, I never really even talked to him before I told him I was like starting a podcast. He's like, yo, let's go. So like, we might have said 3 words to each other before we went over his place, and we become friends through that, you know?
That's awesome, dude.
But
it's cool what it does.
I had another thought to that shit we were talking about that I wanted to say, but I can't fucking remember what it was.
What about the global warming?
Yeah,
bullshit?
I don't fucking know what it was. Oh, God damn it. We were talking about
Thinking about philosophy, spirituality.
Yeah. I was gonna say something like I know what I was talking about. Like you were talking about like kind of taking action as to what's going on, and this realization that I've come up, I mean, really not on my own, but the realization that I've kind of come to terms with recently, and I've tried to like talk to other people about, is like, you know, each day brings whatever it brings, right? And I don't have any control over like really what happens or like what it's like, you know what I mean? All right, so I got a car, right? And I would like this car to drive 100 miles on 1 gallon of gas. But it doesn't, right? It drives like 22 on 1 gallon of gas. Right. So every 400 miles, I have to put gas in my car. It's not the way I want it to be. That's just the fucking way it is, you know? So I just got to deal with it. That's just the way it is, you know? And then taking it back to like what financial shit at work. Like what I'm getting paid, it is what it is. I can either take the job and figure it out or not take the job and figure it out. And I found that once I started living like that, like just dealing, like it is what it is and just dealing with what it is,
directly with it,
everything works out fine. You know what I mean? Like stop trying to like fucking, well, maybe if I just like work here and
swimming upstream, right?
Yeah, dude, fuck that.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, that exact concept, right? If you're in the ocean and you're swimming directly against a hurricane, you're not gonna go anywhere, dude. I mean, but let's say for example, so me and my girl, what was the last hurricane that we had over here? This was in like maybe October or September
of this past year.
Yeah, we went out to Ventnor Pier to surf, and
I don't. Oh, she surfs too? You both do?
Yeah, and so we went out there, and you know she's a really good surfer. She's probably better than me.
Really?
And there was a lull at the pier. We usually take right directly next to the pier out, and
to the right side or the left side of the pier?
On the right side of the pier, we go out when there's a lull and then swim over.
Oh, okay.
And she went out, and I didn't see her for about 5 seconds, and I got really worried. Mm-hmm. But the lull was over. So at that point, I was like, all right, what is it? Am I going to go, save my girl's life, or am I going to sit here and wait for her to wash up shore?
Right.
Now, I took the initiative to go out when there's 12-foot swells coming in, and doing so was a terrible idea because,
right.
I wasn't in as great shape as I was now.
Right.
And when I went out, I was fighting against the current,
mm-hmm.
and there's, poles with,
yeah, fucking
with
big
oysters
old
and everything.
It would have fucked you up hitting that thing.
Oh, dude, it did fuck me up. I cut my leg. I made it out. I was trying to search for her out by the pier. Little did I know, she already made it out. She was already surfing on the other side, and I'm sitting here for about 25, 30 minutes trying to find her in 12-foot swells. I got to the end of the pier, but at that point, I was like, it was just life or death. So I'm thinking, like, how am I going to find her? I had to let go of my board. I let go of the board. The board tip cracked on the pole, and I'm just swimming with the thing on my leg.
Were you still attached to the board?
Yeah, I was still attached to the board. I'm swimming out trying to find her. So I get out. This dude's fishing, and he's watching me. And he's like, just staring at me. Like, just people watching.
Right.
And there's, these huge waves, and I'm like, all right, shit, like, I'm screwed, dude. So I get out. Little did I realize the current was already pulling me out.
Right.
Because at that time there was a lull, and I'm like past the pier, maybe 100 feet. And then I was like, I caught myself. I'm like, all right, she's obviously not here. Where am I?
Right.
I'm screwed. But, instead of I was trying to swim back, and then I just rested for about maybe 30 seconds. And in that 30-second period of just resting, I was laying on my board, and a wave just came out of nowhere and just rode me in.
No shit, really?
And, I hit the shore, energy drained, and she comes up running, laughing her ass off. And I'm like, dude, I was trying to find you this whole time. I almost died. But, it was an experience, because exactly what you were saying, the whole concept of swimming up shore, once I took it easy,
right,
the wave just brought me in.
Right.
And, applying life concepts like that really helps me, because, I could think about it. I can quantify it all I want, but in reality, it's just the way it is, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go with the flow, or you're gonna swim upstream. Because when you go with the flow, you can still be different. You can still take a different stroke. You can still, find a way to swim underwater. You can do things your own way while going with the flow. My thing was, I was always trying to swim upstream in my own way, and I'm about to drown. You know what I mean? So that concept is definitely important, and not only achieving small goals, but just being successful,
right, and being happy too.
Being happy. I mean, ultimately you're not going to be happy if you're swimming upstream. You're going to be happy when you take a rest. You're going to be happy when that wave brings you to the shore, and you're like, dude, I don't even know how I'm alive right now. My board's cracked and I'm just sitting there out of breath. It's funny, dude, how life works, isn't it?
Dude, and I think a real important part of that is like being aware enough to look for a lesson in something like that. Because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of shit that happened to me in my life. What's up, kitty cat?
Self-awareness, right?
Yeah, dude. That like self-awareness to be able to, I tell a lot of my friends, like, when they're going through something, they call me like, oh man, this is fucked up, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, that is definitely fucked up. Like, I'm not going to take that away from you. That shit's fucked up. But like, what's the lesson in it? Like, what can you learn? Like, it was fucked up that you almost drowned in the ocean. But like, what can you learn from being like almost drowning in the ocean,
That exact same concept, I keep bringing up this book, Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. In the book, it's so weird how the universe works. I was just talking about this. It says, learning about everything outside yourself is intelligence, but learning about self-awareness is true wisdom.
Right.
So, you can be as smart as you want. There's people who are the highest IQs in the world, but they're just not happy.
Right.
And then there's also people sitting on a Burma beach that don't know half about Einstein's relativity, but they're the most happy people in the world because they're self-aware. And
your
wise.
cat's coming on to me,
yeah,
dude.
my cat's in heat right now, and she's rolling around. She's in a mood, but I love her. That's Queen Nala and King Milo over here. But yeah, dude, self-awareness is a really awesome concept as well.
And it's weird how it just like kind of came about, dude. Like, I don't really, I've been trying to figure out like why it came about, like how it came about, and it just like, it's been fucking coming on stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's like, I don't really know, it just has to be a culmination of a bunch of different things, dude. It's got to just be like, living right, and like, I think it really started out with just trying to take positive action. Ow. Fucking thing. I think it's just about taking positive action, and then like me getting some fucking results from it.
Yeah, it drives you, dude.
Dude, it's the craziest motivator. Like, I don't have a lot.
Results.
Yeah.
Results are the greatest motivator. I gained 40 pounds in the past 4 months.
Really?
I go to the gym every single day, and that exact thing, results, is what drives me to keep going. Because it's like, dude, I mean, because I was always a real skinny dude. I'm not huge.
Yeah, you're looking all right now, though, bro.
I'm saying I used to wrestle and I did cross country. I used to push my body to extremes, but I could never gain weight. So now, like, I'm gaining weight, and it's like results is what's driving me, dude. Because and that's the same thing. It comes into play in even life cycles. You do something right. You see something positive come from it. You're obviously going to keep doing that thing to get those positive rewards.
Right.
And that's honestly, isn't that what life's about? I mean, achieving things to get what you want.
Yeah, you just gotta be patient enough for the fucking return to
That's
start coming out. Dude. That is the hardest part.
Patience.
And I don't know if part of that's come with like age too, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm turning 27 in April. I mean, it's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like different than when you're fucking 19. Fresh out of high school. You think like, I don't know. You just got this like weird fucked up like
perception.
Yeah, I don't know like what that comes from, man. I don't know if it's like
society.
I really don't even know what to want to blame it on, but like I'm just like you're just fucking young, you know what I mean? Like you got to go through some shit, I guess, to like figure everything out.
And when you hear that when you're young, like younger, because we're not like by any stretch like old, but like when you're younger, if you knew what I knew then, you hear that and you're like, dude, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah, you're like fuck off, old dude.
I don't want to hear that shit right now. I'm fucking about to go jump off a bridge,
right?
Like I don't want to hear that shit, but. Little did we know that guy jumped off a bridge and broke his neck.
Right.
And he's trying to tell you, don't jump off that bridge. You're going to break your neck. Nah, I'll try it. Break your fucking neck. And then you're sitting there with a broken neck like, shit, I should have listened to this guy.
And that's where the wisdom comes in, man. Yeah. I've always heard the thing like a, smart man learns from his own mistakes and a wise man learns from someone else's.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth, dude? If I would have listened to every wise man's words coming up, dude, you know how much better off I'd be. But that whole thing, like, that leads me to the point of like, struggling almost makes you self-aware, right? Because that struggle makes you aware of who you are. Like once you struggle, you become aware of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, a podcast I was on, and I brought this up in a few other ones that I was at. It was with my old high school teacher. He started this Empowerment Perspective podcast. I'll send you the link and you can listen to it, dude. Solid shit. He wrote a book, and I'm like in the midst of reading it right now, just like about his life or whatever. And but like we were talking about like struggling, you know what I mean? And there's like beauty in the struggle in the sense that like you learn a bunch of shit from like struggling and shit. And like I think I had to go through all the stuff I had to go through in order to get like where I was, And he was talking about raising his kids, which I don't know anything about. But he was talking about like manufacturing some fucking problems for them so they figure out how to deal with adversity when they get it. And I think that was part of the problem with me growing up, man. It's like I had a great childhood, man. I had two of my parents. They were both at home. My mom worked from home. My dad worked like 9 to 5. So like my family was always around. We were always together. We always went on cool vacations. Right. Always had like I got some hand-me-downs from my brother, but they bought me new shit too. You know what I mean? Right. I grew up in like a nice like middle class, lower middle class neighborhood like in Camden County, and I didn't really have any bullshit that I had to go through. So once shit started hitting me, dude, I had no idea how to deal with it.
Yeah. Tools, man.
It's like strange. Like I wonder if I like grew up in the ghetto and like had to deal with shit, like I'd be better off handling stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is true. I mean, but then again, like there's people that are handed everything and they're in a completely shitty situation. There's people that get nothing in a shitty situation. And then there's people that are handed everything that turn out really well, and then there's people that are shitty that turn out really well. So
there's no magic formula, is there?
Yeah, dude. I've been trying to figure that formula out since I was 12 years old, dude. Never could, never will.
I don't think there is one, man.
Yeah, and that struggle thing. I know I keep bringing up Eastern philosophy books. It's corny, but there's this book. It's called the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm. Was it Indian?
It's the Hindu, I guess, quote unquote Bible.
Right.
And I read it for one of my philosophy classes. Anyway, it's helped me along the way.
Right.
It talks about the main factor in understanding Hinduism is struggle through dharma, which means duty.
Right.
So there's just a story in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's these two families battling for the throne, and they're cousin families.
Right.
And the guy's name's Arjuna. He's the warrior king or whatever it may be.
Right.
And he's sitting there in the middle of a battle when the book takes place, and he's he looks up, starts talking to God, and says like, this is my cousin, right? Like I'm gonna have to battle them and kill my cousins to get the throne.
Right.
And Krishna, who is the supreme being in Hinduism, comes down and tells him like, listen, like same thing we were talking about. If you want to sit here and think about this and think about that, you know, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
It's your duty as a human to follow the river. It's your duty as a human to just do what's in front of you. Right. So, you know, he told him, like, listen, like, you have to fight this battle. Like, you're just going to have to, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he fights the battle, and he comes to an understanding of that whole dharma duty factor,
mm-hmm.
which ultimately begets everything that we're talking about. It just comes down to going with the flow of life, and results will be shown in front of you if you put the work in.
Right.
And, you know, stuff like that. You know, I would hear that. I heard that back in the day, and I read it, and, you know, kind of put it in my subconscious. But then, you know,
like,
as
fuck
you,
that.
Yeah, and then as you grow, right?
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, as you grow and things are shown in the light, you can kind of, you know, manifest that kind of thing into your own reality. Like, dude, we just got to do it, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we can either, you know, ride the wave and make our own motions on the wave, or we could just flop off and drown.
Right.
And to me, you know, I find that stuff very interesting because, you know, there's no blueprint to life, like we were saying, a formula.
Right.
But there's so many hints in this universe as to what other successful people did that we want to be like.
Right.
To get to where we want to be, that, you know, we can follow the path of our elders, or we can create our own path.
Yeah, because, you know, it's my belief you're gonna have your own little twist on shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
You know what? You know, worked for somebody else isn't necessarily going to work for me, but there's probably some like basic, you know, values or action parts to it that are going to be similar. Fuck, that's some good shit.
That is some good shit. Right there behind you.
The man, the lotus position. Damn, bro, we almost been talking for an hour.
Facts of life. The wisdom of the divine
dude,
upon us.
I think. Fuck. I'm trying to like sum up what you said. It's almost like you know, finding out what works for you too. You know what I mean? I think that was a big part of my life recently, is finding out like what stuff works for me, what stuff doesn't work for me. Going about shit willy-nilly and like not writing stuff down does not work for this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This guy right here.
Waking up at 4 a.m. does not work for me either. You know what I mean? So I've had to like kind of tailor my own life plan based off of like how like my personality is.
Yeah, everyone's different
from the start.
That's
you know?
So true.
And like I was putting myself in like these like crazy manual labor jobs and like all this other shit, and I felt like I wasn't feeding my brain right. So now I've tried to like kind of figure out what I'm good at and like where my strengths are, and like work on those rather than like build up like these weaknesses I have, you know?
That is true.
Cause like
sharpen your tools, right?
Yeah, dude, instead of like trying to buy new ones that like I probably don't know how to use, you know what I mean? Like if I'm good with the Phillips head, like buy like a really good Phillips head.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know how to use a flathead, like I'm gonna buy a nice one, it's like still not gonna work, you know?
Yeah.
There's some serious shit to that. You know, my boy Dean, I did a podcast with him really early on. He's been one of the people who's helped me kind of like figure that out. Like, well, all right, so what am I good at? And like, why don't I keep working on what I'm good at rather than like
focusing
on what I'm not? You
right.
know, you might as well be really good at the things you're already naturally good at. Like work off those like, you know, those given talents that I got.
Right. There's people that are, you know, you got LeBron James, and then we got Mario Batali, like amazing cook. Like if you put LeBron James in Mario Batali's kitchen, Mario Batali's gonna murk him. If you put Mario Batali on a court with LeBron James obviously gonna murk him.
It'd be over.
So that's the whole thing. It's like, what can I do to stand out with what I have been given or have honed throughout my life?
Right.
And shit, I'm still trying to figure that out, dude.
Right.
But
that's beauty in the process, though, man.
Yeah,
it's
part of the struggle, right?
Figuring that shit out, yeah.
Swimming in the river, trying to get to where we want to go.
Yeah.
It's the goal, man. Striving for what we want.
All right, man. Well, I think this was pretty solid for our first go around.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
we should get at it again. I'm kind of getting hungry.
Yeah, me too.
So
Super hungry. I got some chicken in the crock pot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up and do this again. I don't know, this week
good
or
looks,
something.
brother.
Yeah.